Morals and morality. After faith, the second important requirement of religion is purification of morals. This means that a person should cleanse his attitude both towards his Creator and towards his fellow human beings. This is what is termed as a righteous deed. All the Sharia is its corollary. With the change and evolution in societies and civilizations, the Sharia has indeed changed. However, faith and righteous deeds, which are the foundations of religion, have not undergone any change. The Quran is absolutely clear that any person who brings forth these two things before the Almighty on the Day of Judgment will be blessed with paradise, which shall be his eternal abode. The Quran says, وَمَنْ يَأْتِيهِ مُؤْمِنًا قَدْ عَمِلَ الصَّالِحَاتِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ دَرَجَاتُ الْعُلَىٰ جَنَّاتُ عَدْنٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. And he who comes before him as a believer, having done righteous deeds, exalted ranks are for such people, evergreen gardens beneath which streams flow, and they shall abide therein forever. This shall be the reward of those who purify themselves. Surah number 20, verses 75 and 76. It is doing these righteous deeds which is termed as sound moral behavior, and doing unrighteous ones is termed as immoral behavior. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is reported to have said, I have been sent to achieve the culmination of high moral standards. Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Musnad, Volume 3, page 80, Hadith number 8729. He is also reported to have said, the best among you are those who are morally sound from others. Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami as-Sahih, page 597, Hadith number 3559. At another place, he is reported to have said, these are the people who are very dear to me. Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami as-Sahih, page 632, Hadith number 3759. Similarly, he has also said, on the Day of Judgment, it will be high moral behavior which will carry most weight in the scales of a person. Abu Dawud, Sunan, Volume 4, pages 253 and 254, Hadith number 4799. Similarly, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is also reported to have said, a believer achieves the same rank through high moral behavior as can be achieved through fasts and the night prayer. Abu Dawud, Sunan, Volume 4, page 253, Hadith number 4798. Basic issues. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. And the soul bears witness, and the perfection given to it, then God inspired it with its evil and its good, that he succeeded who purified it, and he failed who corrupted it. Surah number 91, verses 7 to 10. What is the means through which a person can know what good and evil is? This is the most fundamental question of moral philosophy. In the above quoted verses, the Quran has made it clear that just as the Almighty has blessed a person with eyes to see and ears to hear, similarly, He has blessed him with the faculty which distinguishes good and evil for him. A person is not mere body and intellect, he is also a moral being. This means that the ability to distinguish good from evil and the appreciation that good is good and evil is innately ordained in him. In some other verses of the Quran, this aspect is referred to as Inna hadaynahu sabil, or we inspired him in the way of good and evil. Surah number 76, verse 3. And at another place it is said, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. Have we not shown him both paths? Surah number 90, verse 10. This appreciation of good from evil is a universal reality. Thus, when the most evil of persons does something wrong, he tries to hide it in the first phase. When Adam's son Cain tried to hide the body of his brother Abel after killing him, it was because he knew that he had committed a sin. Same is the case with good. A person loves what is good and respects and reveres it. When he establishes a society, he always sets up a system of justice in it. This is ample testimony of his innate ability to distinguish between good and evil. No doubt, at times, a person may justify a sin he commits. However, at the very time he invents excuses for this justification, he very well knows that he is inventing these excuses against his nature. The reason for this is that if someone else commits the same sin against him, he regards it to be an evil without any hesitation, and vehemently protests against that person. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is reported to have said, "Virtue is professing high morals, and sin is that which pricks your heart and you would not like others to come to know about it." Muslim, Al-Jami As-Sahih, page 1120, Hadith number 6516. It is this part of a person which the Quran has called as Nafs al-Lawwama, or the reproaching soul, and has unequivocally stated, بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا وَلَوْ أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرًا. In fact, in reality, man himself is a witness upon his own self, however much he may put up excuses. Surah number 75, verses 14 and 15. However, in the interpretation of this innate ability to distinguish between good and evil, there could have been differences because of different circumstances and periods of time, and because of a variation in perception between people themselves. It is a great blessing of the Almighty that He has not even left any possibility for such differences, and wherever there could have been a likelihood of any major difference, He Himself delineated good and evil through His messengers. The guidance provided by these messengers is now eternally enshrined in the Quran. This guidance testifies to whatever a person finds within himself. Furthermore, man's intuitive knowledge, in fact even his empirical knowledge derived from natural and physical laws, as well as knowledge derived from intellect, all bear witness to it. Consequently, good and bad morals, as a result of this, can be fully ascertained. In certain narratives, this aspect has been explained through a parable. A straight path leads to the destination a person wants to reach. At both its ends are high walls. Both have doors in them on which curtains are hung. At the end of the path, there is a caller calling out to enter and to walk straight. In spite of this, if a person wants to lift the curtains of the doors in the right and left walls, a caller from the top says, "Beware, do not lift the curtains. If you lift them, you will go inside." It was explained, this path is Islam. The walls are the limits prescribed by God, and doors are His prohibitions. The caller from the top is the counselor of God, which is found in the heart of every human being, and the caller at the end of the path is the Quran. At-Tirmidhi, Sunan, Volume 4, pages 539 and 540, Hadith number 2859. The Quran is also reported to have said, إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ وَيُبَشِّرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا كَبِيرًا. Indeed, this Quran gives guidance to the path which is the most upright, and gives glad tidings of a great reward to those among its believers who do good deeds. Surah number 17, verse 9. The second question is, what is the real motive which impels a person to purify his morals? The answer which the Quran has given to this question in the verses quoted earlier is that this motive is a person's perception, which, on the basis of this very innate guidance of good and evil, says that the results of good and evil cannot be the same. He feels that the very existence of the perception of good being good and evil being evil entails that the result of good should be good and that of evil should be evil. It becomes evident from this that a person will not be left unaccountable for his deeds. He will definitely be rewarded or punished as a result of his deeds. In these referred to verses, the Quran is referred to this fate as success and failure, respectively. As a result of this, the feelings of fear and hope arise in a person and become a source and motivation for him to cleanse his morals, even though his natural inclinations oppose this. Then, when a person professes faith, this feeling relates to the Almighty. It is now that the Quran requires of him that the real motive of adhering to good morals and refraining from evil morals should only be the love of God, His pleasure, and the fear of His displeasure, the God who knows the unseen, who knows the secrets and is fully aware of every movement that goes on in this world, as well as the slightest of change that takes place in the minds and hearts. The Quran has stated this aspect at many places. At one instance, after emphasizing the fulfillment of obligation, it says, فَآتِ ذَا الْقُرْبَ حَقَّهُ وَالْمِسْكِينَ وَابْنَ السَّبِيلِ ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَ اللَّهِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. So give their due to the next of kin, to the destitute, and to the traveler. That is best for those who want to please God, and it is these who shall surely prosper. Surah number 30, verse 38. The best examples of people in whom these morals are personified are the prophets of God. About the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran says, الَّذِي يُؤْتِي مَالَهُ يَتَزَكَّى وَمَا لِأَحَدٍ عِنْدَهُ مِنْ نِعْمَةٍ تُجْزَى إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِ الْأَعْلَى, who spends his wealth to purify his soul and does not confer favors on anyone for recompense, but only to seek the countenance of his Lord Most High. Surah number 92, verses 18 to 20. It is generally accepted that the foundation of good deeds is good intention. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has also referred to this fact in these subtle words. The deeds of a person are based on his intentions. Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami As-Sahih, page 1, hadith number 1. This motive cleanses a person's intentions completely. Thus, none of his deeds after this is for show and pretense, and if it is, then he soon or late tries to cleanse it of such filth. The most effective explanation of this directive of the Quran is reported by Abu Huraira radhiyallahu anhu. He narrates from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that on the day of reckoning, the foremost among people whose fate shall be decided would be the scholars of the Quran, or those who had been killed in jihad, or those who had been blessed with wealth by the Almighty. They shall be brought over, and the Almighty will remind them of His favors. They will acknowledge these favors. The Almighty will then inquire from them, "What did you do in benefiting from them?" The scholar will reply, "I was educated, and then I educated others, and recited the Quran before other people to call them towards you." The soldier will say, "I fought in your way and was killed." The rich person will say, "I spent on every occasion on which you are pleased on spending." The Almighty will say, "All of this was done by you so that people should call you a scholar, a brave person, and a generous person respectively. So you have been called so in the world. It shall thus be ordered, and they shall be dragged facewards into hell." Muslim, Al-Jami As-Sahih, pages 852 and 853, hadith number 4923. The third